on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today it is time to install the FDF angle kit into my 370Z. Now this is my 2014 370Z base model drift car slash daily, kind of turning into more of a drift car. I got the welded diff, I got the BC coilovers, got the hydro, and there's one last piece to the puzzle that we need. And that would be fresh all the way from Canada. It's FDF's Mantis angle kit. I went ahead and unsaran wrapped one arm just to kind of take a look at it. But there's so many more pieces in here that we need to undo so we can get it on the car. Let's start with that. Alrighty, we're all unwrapped here. That took forever. But now we got it all laid out. I'm gonna try to piece it together, kind of a right side and left side here. But of course, first we have to start taking apart the Z. Get all the old OEM stuff out so we can get the FDF stuff in. Also need to take off that fender so I can get the dent out of it for the most part. Let's get started. Alrighty, got the wheel off. Looking in the wheel arch, trying to figure out the best way to do this. I've never done this before. I don't really know what I'm doing, so bear with me on that. I think what I'm going to do is take off the coilover first, but I'll undo that. I'll undo this little brake line bracket here, along with the tie rod for sure. And then I'm going to start looking into the top because there's a bolt. There's a bolt right where my finger's at here, and there's also one on this other side that for sure need to come out. I'm going to get a little progress done. Check back in with you. Okay, now that that's all out of the way, I can go ahead and start putting in the FDF stuff. But before I do that, I'll give you quick tips on how to take this stuff out. You do have to take the coilover out, and these two big bolts here, there are bolts on the bottom and nuts on the top. One here, one back here. I think they're about 17 millimeters, something like that. Take the boot off, enter tie rod, the bolt running through here, this guy, and then obviously the brake stuff, and then the big boy up here. Pretty straightforward. First thing you need to do is take the coilover out. I made that mistake. Now looking at all the new shiny parts, I'm trying to figure out which is which because they're not really labeled at all, so I'm trying to figure out what side is which. Like these little boys here, I don't know if they're specific to one side or not. I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to piece these things together, but the design is so different than the stock, so it's a little bit funky. You might have to Google some pictures of the FDF kit that I can compare it to, or I'll just kind of throw it up there and figure it out. Alright, I finished up one side of the FDF kit. Let me go ahead and go over what I did exactly on it. It did take me a little while because this is like one of the first kits that FDF has for the 370Z, so I had no pictures to go off of or anything. That's pretty darn good. I like how it's coming out. Everything's not quite tightened down or adjusted. There's so many little adjustments on this kit, but overall really easy to install once I figured out where everything went and how it all went. You can see a quick look here what everything replaces, and as far as the shock goes, there's a couple adjustments here that you can put it at. The brake line, there is a hard line dangling here, so I am going to have to lift this up a little bit and secure it to maybe this piece here. The top, there's only literally one bolt that bolts into the top, and there's like 4 options. So I'm on the back left from this point here. So if you're doing this to your 370Z, you can kind of use this as reference if you want. I still have to do the other side, so I'll give you guys quick little pointers when I do that. But just want to show you a quick little complete setup of the kit. And here is this side in here. I cannot get this ABS sensor to go in. I believe there's a hole for it. It's back in here. You can see it kind of back in this kind of dark. It doesn't quite fit in all the way. I don't know what the deal is. I might just get rid of it. I don't know if it's a speed sensor. I might need it for the speedo. I'll look into it. So pretty much for the steering rack, you take out the inner tie rod and you put the relocation up and to the right a little bit. Then you take your OEM inner tie rod, and then the aluminum piece goes here and then directly into knuckle, I should say. This little piece in here, you reuse this OEM bolt here. One bolt goes in the subframe here, and then another one underneath. Make sure to tighten this down first before you install this whole piece onto this subframe because you won't be able to get to this nut under here where my finger's at. Other than that, simple kit. I like it. I'm gonna start on the other side. This one to the left. Go for it. All right, it's off. You just need like a spin or two.
Oh. Why is it?
That's good.
Sounds
Just
so hard.
Just kind of keep doing a few little.
I don't think it's on there.
Right. It is. Just kind of keep doing it. It's turning. You gotta freshen up on the tire scales. So you can change the formula at events. Perfect. There you go. Alright guys, before this video goes any further, I do have a coupon code that you can use right here. I'll put it right here on the screen that you can use for 100 Canadian dollars off. Big shout out to Josiah and FDF up in Canada. I actually bought my S13 from him. I drove all the way up there, saw the shop, super cool place, and he's hooking you guys up with 100 Canadian dollars off your order. of any kit that you want to buy. So go ahead, go to their site. There'll be a link down in the description to check it out. They offer a lot of kits for a lot of drift cars and a lot of quality products. Dual caliper brackets, hand brakes, stuff like that. Make sure you go check it out. Use the code, $100 off, back to the install. Alrighty, just got finished tearing apart most of the other side. I still have this lower arm to finish off. Got the knuckle out. It is easier if you take out the coilover first. So take out the coilover before you take these little bolts out, or just a pain. Now I've got to bust off these 417s to get this wheel bearing out, and then you go ahead and hammer this sucker out. And this is what you need to put on the FDF. I didn't reuse the dust shield. I don't even know if you can. At this point, you put 70 degrees of lock. It's a race car. Now I'm going to undo the inner tie rod. There's this little wire in here, so I need to go ahead and untwist this and get that off. Pull the boot back and then get access to the inner tie rod. I might just cut it actually, I don't think. There it is. This, pull it back. There's a little clip right here on this side. Need to undo that. All I'll do is pinch it, pull it back. Whole boot should come back over top of that. Then you should get access to, now we got to take this inner tie rod off right here. There is a square on here that you can take it off with a wrench, or you can use a pair of vice grips, clamp it on, twist to the left. It should come off. Now you will want to reuse this inner tie rod, so be kind of careful with it. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Now we got everything out of the way. I need to get this brake line bracket off. And as you can see right here, this is tied in right here. There's no way to get this off. So all you do is pop this little clip out right here. And then I'm gonna take a set of bolt cutters. I'm gonna take my bolt cutters and actually cut that bracket off. That way I don't have to disconnect the line and then re-bleed it once I get it back on. Perfect. We got our arm ready to go in. This nut here, this bolt here, you do want to go ahead and put this through. It goes just like that. Hold this side with a 19 wrench, put your 19 socket on here, tighten it down. You want to tighten that down before you install this whole little bracket. There's no way to really get into this nut that I've really experienced. As you can see, this piece, there's a high side and a low side. The high side sits up here on the top of the subframe. Low side hugs this bottom, and you do reuse this tall bolt here, and there is another bolt that came with it that I have sitting over here. Once you have that in, it's really easy to line up this big boy here, which sits right here in the main subframe slot, and you do reuse the same bolt that you pulled out of here, so make sure to keep track of all that. All right, now it's time to put the rack offset spacer on. So this bolt here, make sure to apply red thread locker, and make sure if it's not a nylon nut, make sure to thread lock everything on the kit. That way it won't come loose, and bolt check it before every event. This orientation sits like this, so the offset is up and away, if that makes any sense. So toward the front of the vehicle, and there's a little notch, but that's how that looks, and the one on the other side is just the opposite. So one very important step is don't forget to put the little spacer in here. I'm not sure if this is for a 370Z versus a G37 or something, because I know they're the same kit, I believe. There's a little spacer that goes between the wheel bearing and the knuckle. Make sure to put that in there, or your brake caliper will rub. That's what I forgot to do on the other side. Had to take it back off, put it back on. Also, make sure to thread lock these wheel bearing / hub bolts that go in here. There's 4 black hex bolts. They're size 10 hex. Make sure you thread lock those with some red thread locker, because you don't want your wheels shooting off mid-drift. That would just be bad and embarrassing. Got everything buttoned up. Now it's time to put the little bump stop in. So it goes in on this side, right in this little hole in here, if you can see that. So make sure to get that in there securely. I start twisting this tie rod, so you can kind of center it up almost, and start twisting it by hand and see how much it pulls it in and out. You just kind of got to play with it and see, and then adjust this bump stop here. So whenever it's at full lock, the opposite way, it hits this little nut here instead of puts all the pressure on this joint. All right, just wrapped it up. We tried to align it as much as we could with the tie rods. I think we have it. I'll have to check it out again. We're gonna give it a test drive. It's gonna definitely poke. It's a lot of angle for the stock body. But we're gonna go test it out, see how it is, and then we probably will have to adjust it.
The car just grips up, like it looks so fast, even on the blacktop. What?
I'm satisfied. I don't want to get carried away. Yeah, Jordan. Is he cooking the clutch? Time to go. Alright, wrapped up the install. I ended up having to take off both fenders because it was rubbing pretty badly. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Might have to wide body it. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Figure it out. It does stick out quite a lot. We just did some tests out in a parking lot and the car does pretty good. I do need to get it aligned, however. So I'll take it, get it aligned probably next week. So all in all, the install went really well. It took me a little bit to kind of figure out what things were because I didn't really have any pictures, but I'm hoping this video helps you out if you're doing it to your 370Z. The next drift event is in a few weeks, so I'll test it out. Got to get it aligned. Make sure everything's bolted down and we should be good to go. Super excited. Make sure to use the code. I'll put it right here on the screen again. If you're going to go over to FDF's website, pick a kit up for your car. They have a lot to choose from. I definitely recommend them. Make sure to leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think of the kit. I think it looks really quality. I'm excited to try it out. I still have some adjusting to do on it, but I'm going to leave you guys here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Helps a lot more people find the video and it helps a lot more people find the channel. Make sure to drop a comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Oh, the final product. You can see her in there. Looking good. No fender, kind of sad, but looking good.